Alright, what is going on YouTube / coming at you with a brand new video. Today we are looking at part 2 of the Shibuya Arc. This is going to cover chapters 89 to 97, so all of volume 11. As I noted in the previous video, I really want to focus on the arc as it's likely going to take up over half of the anime. Along with that, I want to note that this is going to be a relatively spoiler heavy video for you guys. So if you don't want the Shibuya Arc spoiled for you, click off now. Without further ado, let's go ahead and dive into part 2 of the Shibuya Incident Arc. We open up chapter 89, continuing with the carnage that Mahito and his transfigured humans have unleashed onto the civilians in Shibuya Station. From here, we see Mahito and Gojo start to face off, trading blows until Mahito unleashes his idle transfiguration in tandem with Choso's blood manipulation convergence. We then see Jogo try to sneak up on Gojo to land a hit, but Gojo senses him coming and rips his arm off. We see Gojo realize that his only option to save the remaining humans in the area is to enact his domain expansion. We see that Gojo uses this time to kill off 1,000 transfigured humans that Mahito had unleashed onto Shibuya Station. We then see a box released onto the ground and see Kenjaku say the words "prison realm gate open." We then get a flashback of Kenjaku telling Jogo that they need Gojo to stay within the same 4 meters for 1 minute to be able to seal him within the prison realm. It's noted that the 1 minute isn't a normal minute like we experience, but rather 1 minute in Gojo's mind. We then come back to reality and see the prison realm open up. Kenjaku then calls out to Gojo, revealing his presence, which Gojo perceives to see Geto, which would mean that his best friend is somehow still alive even after he killed him. This causes 1 minute to pass extremely quickly in Gojo's mind, and he begins to be sealed in the prison realm while screaming at Kenjaku, asking him who he is. We then see Kenjaku remove the top of his head, revealing that he had transplanted his brain into Geto's body. He quickly explains that his curse technique allows for him to transfer his brain into different hosts. Kenjaku and Gojo then speak about Yuta, with Gojo saying that Yuta was the last one who beat that body up, which was Geto. Kenjaku remarks that he doesn't find Yuta to be that impressive and says that he certainly could not become the next Gojo. We then cut to Yuji and Mei's team and see that Mechumaru has attached itself to Yuji's ear so that he can feed him information. Mechumaru explains to Yuji that Gojo has been sealed away at this point, and we cut back to Gojo finally being sealed away for good. We can see that the prison realm is a box with eyes sticking out of it and small enough that Kenjaku can physically hold it in his hand. We then cut back to Mechumaru, who explains the events of the evening festival arc and how he was killed by Mahito. He then explains that there are cursed users coming to try and kill Mei and Yuji. He remarks that they're stronger than Kogai, which was the grasshopper curse from the first part of the arc. Mechumaru notes that there are now 4 curtains around Shibuya that are much stronger than anything the Jujutsu sorcerers can muster up. We then see Mechumaru instruct Yuji to go to Shibuya to tell the other sorcerers that Gojo has been sealed. We also see him tell Mei to open up a way for Yuji to get through the curses that are going to try to stop them. We then see 2 curses come out from a dark tunnel, and we see Mei and Yuji jump into action against them. We then come back to Kenjaku, Jogo, and Choso and see that Gojo is trying to harm them by slamming the prison realm that he's trapped into the ground. We then see Gojo in the prison realm, and he remarks that he has faith in everyone and that they will be able to get through it together. We now cut to Nanami's group, who are concerned about the appearance of a curtain as soon as Gojo ran into Shibuya Station. We cut to Ijichi, who's acting as a manager of the situation and is trying to contact the other groups with his phone when he's stabbed through the stomach by a cursed user. We then cut to Kenjaku and see that Mechumaru has a listening device in the station where they're located, and he relays to Yuji for the time being that they won't be able to move Gojo from the station. We see that Yuji has also been told by Mechumaru at this point that they need every single sorcerer to try and unseal Gojo. We see Yuji sprint out of the curtain and into Shibuya, where civilians are being killed by curses. We then see Yuji kill a transfigured curse out of kindness and then move to the top of a building where he begins to shout for Nanami. We then cut to Kenjaku, where he notes that everyone is going to be heading that way. We see that each curse has a different idea as to what they want to do with the approaching sorcerers. We see that Choso wants to kill Nobara and Yuji, while Jogo disagrees, saying that he wants to summon Sukuna. We see that Mahito agrees with Choso, saying that he'd like the opportunity to try and kill Yuji as well. We see that Jogo is really against this idea, and then we cut to Mahito, who essentially says whoever gets to Yuji first can do whatever they want with him. Choso says that he wants to play in their game as well. We then cut to Kenjaku, who says that he will be staying in the station to make sure that Gojo doesn't get unsealed. As the other curses head out, we then cut to Nanako and Mimiko, who ask Kenjaku if they can have Geto's body back. Kenjaku snaps back, saying that he doesn't have to because they didn't make a binding vow with him. We then cut back to Yuji, who is still on the roof trying to yell for Nanami. Megumi, Ino, and Nanami all join him up on the roof, and they begin talking about Gojo's sealing and the situation that is unfolding around Shibuya. He then explains Mechumaru's plan, and we see that Nanami goes to talk with Ijichi about something, while Ino, Yuji, and Megumi are tasked with taking care of the curtain. After some small talk by Ino, we see the group leave to try and save Gojo. We then cut to Awasaka, Granny Ogami, and her grandson all watching over Shibuya. We can say that they are guarding the curtains that are surrounding Shibuya at this point. We then cut back to Yuji's group, who's trying to figure out exactly where the curtain has been placed down and who's placed it, and we see that through brainstorming, they figure out that it is on top of Shibuya Central Tower. From here, we see Megumi send up a Shikigami to attack Awasaka's group, who is on top of Shibuya Central Tower, and Yuji and Ino jump off the Shikigami to begin their attack on the curse technique users. We then see Ino take away 2 of the curtains, and as he's beginning to take the 3rd one away, he's attacked by Awasaka. We then see Yuji tie Awasaka up with a string of some kind and send him hurtling off the building before jumping down to help finish the fight. We then see Ino begin to face off with Ogami and her grandson declaring that he wants to become a grade 1 sorcerer. We then see that Awasaka survived the fall and is somehow unharmed. We then cut back to Ino and see that he's begun his attack on Ogami and her grandson. And we see that though Ino is trying to kill Ogami, her grandson is taking the brunt of his attacks. We now cut back to Yuji and Megumi, who are still fighting Awasaka and at this point are absolutely destroying him. We then see a pause in the action, and though it seems that they were giving their all, Awasaka is still unharmed. We now cut back to Ino with Ogami's grandson continuing to take hit after hit for her. We see Ogami tell Ino that something is ready, to which he responds, "I know," and swallows some kind of cursed object. Ino tries to stop whatever it is, but he fails. We then see Ogami utter the words Toji Zenin and sees that her grandson's face begins to be replaced by that of Toji's. We then cut to a flashback of Ogami and Awasaka committing a number of different crimes, and we learn that the appearance of Gojo with his 6 eyes caused a number of curses and cursed users to go into hiding and stop committing the acts of violence. We then cut back to Awasaka fighting with Yuji and Megumi, and it seems that they can't damage him. We see Megumi trying to dishearten Awasaka by saying that Gojo is in Shibuya, but Awasaka notes that if he were still here, then all the curses and cursed users would still be at home. We then see Megumi unleash a ton of rabbit Shikigami, and he grabs Yuji and runs, telling him that it's time to retreat, but on the bright side that he has figured out Awasaka's curse technique. We then cut back to Ino with a fully developed Toji Zenin walking right at him. We see Ino get absolutely demolished by Toji, showing that Toji has not lost any of his speed. We then cut back to Awasaka and see that he's realized that Yuji and Megumi have disappeared right before Megumi drops an elephant Shikigami onto him. We then see Yuji throw a car at Awasaka, and he notes that the two of them are relentless. We see both Yuji and Megumi trying to blitz Awasaka, and we get an explanation of his curse technique, which is that all weak attacks are felt immensely by him and damage him quite a bit, but all strong attacks feel like weak attacks. We see that Megumi has figured his curse technique out and uses his frog's tongue to attack him, which causes the first damage to Awasaka. From here, we see both Yuji and Megumi attack at once, one attacking super hard while the other attacks super lightly. We see Awasaka try to attack Yuji, but Yuji's able to land a hit directly onto Awasaka's cheek. This is where chapter 97 ends, as well as volume 11, so it is the end of part 2 of the Shibuya arc. This is a fantastic bit of the arc, and I think that it really establishes everything that the curse users and curse techniques, especially Kenjaku's group, are trying to do. So if you guys did like this video, please go ahead, drop a like, subscribe, comment, let me know what you guys want to see next. I will have part 3 coming up in the next couple of days, so I really hope that you guys decide to watch that as well. I love you all. Have a great rest of your day. Peace.